Hi there. Thanks very much to all the product managers for showing us all the great new features that are coming out this at LILT. I am Katie McGill. I'm a strategic success director here at LILT, and I've been part of the customer success team for 2.5 years now. I support our customers with their global expansion goals by helping them scale their localization program. And we have one of those customers on with us today. Shane, can you introduce yourself and your role at Equals Money?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me along to this. It's a pleasure to be here. And looking at some of those product demos I just saw, there's some features there that we are definitely going to be interested in. So my name is Shane Johnson. I am the Director of Platform Engineering at Equals Money. The title sounds really fancy. I look after two areas of the business that are all based around our platform, so that they are areas that deliver APIs. So we've got one part of the business that delivers customer-facing APIs, so APIs that our websites interact with and also our past customers interact with. And then we've got another part of the business that builds APIs around that are kind of internal APIs that are around interactions with the bank. So one part is customer-facing, one part is talking to the banks. Um, I've been with the company for 6 years now. Shall I give a little bit of background about Equals Money?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, sure. So Equals Money started in 2007. So we've been going for quite a while now. That's that 14, 17, 18 years, I think. Um, and we started off primarily as a payment solutions provider, initially as a company called FairFX. And we had started off as basically a dealing team that would interact with customers directly, speak to customers on the phone, do foreign exchange transactions for them, handle payments to beneficiaries all around the world. And then we expanded into the digital realm by offering cards that customers could top up either with foreign currency for their retail card, or they could use it as well for business. They could top up and give it to employees and use it as an expenses card, kind of like expenses cards that are very popular in America. And all of that was built on our legacy platform, and we've continued growing with that for quite some time. And then probably like 6 years ago, we started to re-platform everything and build everything and think about everything from a customer point of view and a product point of view, not just from a service point of view. So we started re-platforming everything and thinking about how we would really expand our products. So we decided to start redeveloping everything, all of our APIs, really thinking about microservices and also thinking about our front end as well, so that we could have a front end that we didn't have to build a mobile app. We didn't have like two mobile apps. Sorry, we didn't have to build two mobile apps and a website, and we wanted to be able to build it once and deploy to everything. So that's where we are now. We've got a website that we build once. It deploys to mobile app on Android and also on iOS. It's also the same website that we use for our white labels. So we've got customers that we use as a white label solution, and as well as our own brands within us as well. So we've still FairFX as the brand that we initially started with is still one of our products at the moment that our retail customers use. In 2019, we introduced the name Equals, and that's become kind of like the business side of our business. So Equals Money is our business offering. And we've spent a lot of time over the last few years expanding that product so that we can actually think about expanding it into like the US, into Europe and stuff like that as well. We also have a banking platform as well that's the banking part of the API that sits behind all of this. So when a customer like registers for an account, so they get the ability to be able to order cards, top up cards for currency. They can manage beneficiaries and send payments around the world. And behind all of that is our banking platform that gives them the sort code, account number, and IBAN, and everything that allows them to be able to manage their account exactly like they would with a professional bank. So they can just manage it by sending money into their account and sending that out to beneficiaries. We're also connected to the Bank of England, so we're able to send out faster payments. So we can do like literally instant transactions to any GB customers, and near on instant transfers across Europe as well. So we've got a European license now, so we've expanded into Europe, and we've also expanded into the US. And that's where we see like our focus is going to be over like the next year at least, where we're going to be focusing on expanding into bigger markets, into more markets, which is where LILT come into it.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next question then, which you may have partially answered. You started looking for a translation solution, presumably to help with that global expansion then.
Yes, we have. I mean, we've been a UK-based business for, since we started in 2007 until we probably dipped our toe into the water in the US probably about 4 years ago, and then last year launched properly. But of course, the US an English-based language, so it was very easy to launch in the US and not have to worry about internationalization with languages. But we always wanted to be able to translate for the US to be able to cater for people that don't speak English. And then as soon as we expanded into the EU, we've got no choice. We have to start thinking about internationalization. Um, so moving away from just being a UK-based business, we wanted to be able to expand to multiple languages. Like in the last 6 months, we launched in the EU 6 months ago, and we've seen quite rapid growth in the EU already. So we want to be able to expand it to be able to, people in France to be able to see our app in French, and people in Belgium to see it in their language as well. So um, as well as offering white labels to customers as well. So we've spent this year we've done a lot of white labels, which is kind of highlighted scalability issues that we've got and stuff that we want to improve. But it's also highlighted that not every customer wants to be able to see stuff in the terminology that we want to use in our application as well. So being able to um, have different terminology and also being able to translate it in a term that makes sense to them is something that we need to leverage as well. So
Yeah,
we not only needed solutions for our main part of our app. So our main part of our app, which is our PWA, which is the customers interact with on a day-to-day basis when they're managing their account. There's also like we've got a marketing app as a marketing website as well. We've got our onboarding web forms. The design team use it as well. So it's kind of sped up different areas of the business as well. I'll go on to that in a little bit more detail in a little while, but on how our team use it on a day-to-day basis. Um,
great.
but yeah, we felt that launching in the EU, we felt that we had a responsibility really to be able to cater for everybody's language rather than expecting them to have to use English all the time, which isn't right, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you started looking for a translation provider, what kind of things were most important to you in that selection process?
So we wanted to make sure that the translation provider that we selected had kind of like a nice balance between making things quicker for us and having that efficiency of being able to get translations for terminology that we wanted. We also had a little bit of a human touch to it. So we're very particular about how we want to phrase things, and we didn't want somebody to be translating it to a different language and to lose the nuances that we have in our terminology. But there were three key things that were really important to us. Language, style, and tone. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't change the way that we were coming across to people. Speed and quality of delivery, so that we could make sure that we were still able to deliver at pace. And we wanted to kind of like build a partnership as well with the provider that we chose. Um, so for like language, style, and tone, we wanted to make sure that accuracy was crucial, especially considering we're a financial institution as well. So we wanted to make sure that the terminology made sense and transferred easily across languages as well. And as being a financial institution, there's certain terms that stick across multiple different providers as well. So you want to make sure you're using the same terms that make sense to people. Consistency in using the right terms for our products. So we've got different terminology for cards. We've got individual cards. We've got shared cards. We've got the money that a customer has on their account. We call a balance. So we wanted to make sure that those terms made sense in different languages. We really liked LILT's combination of the AI engine along with your which learns like the style and the tone and also the human translators that gave us a little bit of confidence that somebody else was actually casting their eye over it as well and verifying. Um, we wouldn't really solely rely on AI or freelance translators, but the dual approach that ensures human interaction, the human touches and consistency really, really like appealed to us. Um, we do want to use AI. We use AI in other areas of the business as well, in little places, but we wanted to use AI for streamlining operations without losing that those human qualities. So yeah, you really as LILT really stood out for the way that you used that nice hybrid approach. It was something that really we felt worked for us.
Excellent. And I certainly remember the glossary creation process when we first started working together as well. It's quite an extensive glossary we've got there
Yeah,
to get the
it really
terminology
is.
right.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, yeah. And some of them seem to be pretty like unique to us as well. We've chosen terminology that other other companies haven't used, but even in some places, we've chosen terminology that other companies haven't used. And in order to make it consistent, we've kind of reviewed some of those and gone, we should really use similar terminology, like we used to call a recipient a beneficiary. And that was the same throughout all of our application. And we've recently done work to actually change it to recipient so it's consistent with everybody else. Because the beneficiary is somebody, somebody either at a funeral parlor or somebody that's in your will rather than somebody you're sending money to for buying something.
Yeah. And actually, there's a question that's probably a good time to ask just now. Someone has asked if there were other members of your team involved in the selection process.
There was loads of people involved in the selection process. Yeah, so there was people from product, people from the senior leadership team as well. So there was quite a few people, as well as people in marketing as well. So it was quite a cross structural group from the business that actually chose which provider they wanted, because it's not just product, it's not just engineering that's going to be using your services. It was multiple people, and it also expanded into areas that we didn't really expect to be using it as well. So yeah, we made sure that a lot of people had their input.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And I know that data security is obviously really critical for you, given the industry that you're working in, and your team. So how did you evaluate vendors from a data security perspective, and like what kind of things were you looking for from the vendors that you were considering in their products?
So yeah, you're right. I mean, we are FCA regulated and we're ISO 27001 accredited as well. So security is really, really important to us. It's vital that we make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that our customers' data is 100% secure. So we have a security council within the business. So whenever we're thinking about using a new piece of technology or a new third-party provider or anything that we're introducing new into the business, even stuff like our own internal apps that we'll be using on our computers. They all have to be security signed off so that we're 100% happy that there's going to be no threat to our customers' data or no threat to our machines for malicious actors to be able to take over stuff. So the Security Council is a group of people within the business that are either compliance or senior leadership people within the business. And they will regularly review anything that's coming in that needs a security sign off. So as we're doing a new architecture or something, or creating a new feature for a product, there will always be a review of that needs to be signed off by Security Council, or that needs to be reviewed by Security Council. So when we were looking at different translation providers, like LILT as one of the translation providers, we had a whole host of documents that we had to go through to make sure that we were happy with what you were providing for us and how we were going to use you and what data we were sending to you as well. Like we wanted to use AI, but obviously we're worried about the possibility of data leaking and also it being how could that data get out into the wider ecosystem. One thing we really liked about LILT was your dedicated AI model approach. So we know that any of the terminology or any of the data that we send through to LILT to translate stays within that like walled garden of the AI machine that you've got for us, and it learns specifically about us and our terminology, and we know that it doesn't leak out anywhere else. So we're really, really happy with the approach of how you're using AI, and it really gives like us confidence as a business in using you as well. So yeah, hats off to the way that you've implemented that. It's really good.
Excellent. And so how are you and perhaps the wider Equals Money team actually using LILT today?
So I don't actually get involved in it too much. It's mostly the actual teams, like it'll be the engineering teams. Um, like we've got a real a mixture of ways that it's being used. We've got design will use LILT really early in their design stage as well. So if they're like, so they use it with the Figma plugin that you guys have provided. So if they're designing a button, let's say a button for example, and they want to make sure that the size of the button on any page fits to a certain size, they are able to then get a translation for the word they want to put on the button, and they're able to see whether it fits in all of the different languages we want to translate it in. And if it doesn't, they're able to review it and make it bigger or modify it so that it fits within our design system so that it looks good on the page. As well as, once they finish the design and they're then able to finish the project, they're able to then to get full translation for the whole project as well. But then that also goes through to our developers. So our developers, we use the GitHub connection as well. So our developers will be, it's taken a little while because our application, like our front end application, it's built in React, and we used to build it with I18N, and every single one of the components had their own translation file. So it was built in a way that if we wanted you as a service to be able to go in and translate that nice and easily, you'd have had hundreds of files to have to look at, which would have been a management nightmare and a bit of an overhead for you. So we refactored how we built all of that so that it was much easier for you guys to be able to see in different domains what files need to be changed so that we've got all of the payment domain, we've got all of the translations around payments in one place, so it's much easier to manage. But it also makes sure that the developers are thinking about translations up front. So they're as soon as they start development, one of the things they will start to do is fill out the translation file so they're able to then get it through to you guys so that you can actually send the translations for those particular components easily through to them when they actually want to do a release. It also means that rather like in the old days where you would have had hired a translator to do a translation for, you got French, you'd have a French translator, a German translator. There would be this time and this overhead of doing the development, then needing the translation file. So you couldn't release what you wanted to release until you got your translations through to you, or you put it on a feature flag or something, or you could only release certain translations at a certain time. With you guys, we get it all together, so we get all the translations, we can do the release of the feature, and we know that we've got everything we need in order to do the release. So it's allowed us to stay at the pace that we've always liked moving at. It hasn't slowed us down, so it's a really nice process. We also have our growth team. So this is the use of the platform that we didn't expect. So we've got our growth team or our onboarding team. They use the LILT platform for one-off jobs. So what we'll get is in the past we would have got somebody who was French filling out a form or filling out the application form in French, and then or sending us documents in French to prove who they are when they want to go through KYC. And for us to be able to then understand what we need to do, we needed to translate them. But what the growth team are then able to do is to upload these to your platform, get them translated, and then be able to do the KYC journey really easily, rather than having to go back to the customer and saying, "We're sorry, but we need you to provide all of this in English." We're able to then have this nice frictionless journey with the customer, so the customer hasn't got a clue what's going on, but we go through and do KYC really nicely for them, and it makes it just look so much more seamless. It's really nice. So yeah, that was a really nice, like, surprise, unexpected way of using your platform.
Excellent. And I think we've got a question here from one of the attendees, and they're wondering if Equals Money plan to expand the global content into new languages in 2025.
We do, yes, we definitely do. So we've expanded. We've now launched in the EU. We've got one market in the EU at the moment, and that is the whole of the EU. But Europe itself is not made up of just the EU. There's other countries that are not part of the EU. So over the next year, we do envisage ourselves expanding so that we can actually service those customers with the languages that are native to them as well. So yes, definitely.
Yeah, we look forward to that. And obviously, you mentioned all of the teams that are working, like using LILT, and who are part of the selection process as well. That comes with a fair bit of change management.
Yes.
How did you prepare the broader team for this sort of change management?
Um, as with kind of the introduction of any new technologies or new processes, there was a slow adoption and the habitual practice that needed to like really happen gradually. Like we couldn't just like chuck them all in the deep end and say, right, this is what we're doing. So we had to like with the PWA, there was a nicer kind of introduction to it in that we needed to refactor the code base in order to be able to cater for the domain files that we wanted to be able to serve to you guys. Um, so there was kind of like as they were developing it, they knew what was going to be coming up and what was going to be happening. And it's been kind of frictionless for our like website developers really. The kind of the places where they've needed to change like their practices and really to adopt it was things like the team that build the Webflow marketing site. So they've had to they get their translations through you with their with the Webflow connection. The onboarding team, like I said, didn't expect them to start using you, but they've obviously seen the value from somewhere and then started using you and have suddenly realized how great it is. But it's just like introducing people to it, and then slowly they will see the benefits of using you. Um, and it just makes it nice and simple. Their day to days are a lot nicer as well, because they're able to just not have to worry about offering this up to another country in a different language. We did a Money 2020. I think it was this year we did Money 2020. It might have been, I think it was this year. And we wanted to serve up our website because we were catering for different nationalities at the time as well. So we were really trying to cater for like Dutch, French, Spanish. And we wanted to make sure that we had our marketing website easily translated into these three languages so that customers who were at Money 2020 in Amsterdam were able to see the site in the languages that they would understand easiest. So we worked with you guys to make sure that we got the marketing website, and it was really short notice and a really tight time frame. So I think we had like 2 weeks in order to get it done to basically almost rebuild 3 websites so that we could serve it up in totally different languages. You guys were really brilliant. We had, like I said, really tight deadline. We had a clear plan of what we needed to do, the files that you needed to have ready for the translation, and then when they'd be translated and ready for the review. We also used your language QA services to make sure everything was checked by another linguist as well as our own. Some people internally as well checked it. So I think this was like the first project we did with you before we actually started working with you fully. So we had internal people as well who were really impressed that everything made perfect sense and it was all translated perfectly. So we were really happy with the way that went. The speed, the quality of delivery, and consistent communication that we had with you guys was really good. So that was a really nice. It's almost like throwing you in the deep end, really. Here we go. Here's a really quick 2 week project we need to do. No pressure. Well, we got Money 2020 in 2 weeks. See what you can do. And you guys did really well. So
Yeah, I do remember that one actually. It was quite a tight time frame, but it was great partnering with you and the people that wanted to review as well. And it's just been lovely partnering with the whole Equals Money team over the last year, I think it has been.
yeah, yeah.
Shane, thank you so much.
So I was
Sorry.
going to say, you learn a lot about each other during times like that when you're put under pressure to do stuff. You learn a lot about each other. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're still working with us, and we're working with you, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Shane, for coming on and speaking to us about equals and why you chose LILT. And I'm now going to hand over to Spence.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane.